just quickly, I'm Ruth Moore. I'm connected to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Ann Arbor. And this is our second year for being involved in the climate teach-in. This afternoon, we're going to be talking about sustainable banking and investing. And we're very happy to have Dr. Ann Putallaz and Dr. Catherine Daligga to speak with us. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about both of them. Dr. Catherine Daligga, who's going to be the first person up today, is a professor of American culture at the University of Michigan. She's also a third-generation Michigander living in Ypsilanti and recently became a co-facilitator of Third Act Michigan, which all of us who are a little bit older should know about. It was founded in 2022 and Third Act is a national organization with 70,000 volunteers active through working groups based on affinity or geographic location. Its mission is to muster the political and economic power of people over 60 to move Washington and Wall Street toward a fairer, more sustainable society and planet. And then, second up, will be Dr. Ann Putallaz, who received a BA in economics from Smith College and a Ph.D. in economics from the University of Michigan. Once she retired from her full-time work in the investment world, she was contracted by Chartered Financial Analysts Institute to help write the 2020 edition of the Global Investment Product Handbook. When the handbook was completed, she helped write the Institute's Global Environmental, Social, and Governance Standards for Investment Products Handbook, which was published in June of 2022. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to the two of you and try at about 2 minutes to give you a sign that your 15 minutes is almost up.
Thanks, Ruth. I appreciate it. I want to begin by welcoming you, but I also want to correct the record. My PhD is in American culture from U of M, but I'm not affiliated with the university at this point. I'm a recovering academic. Those of you affiliated with the institution can probably understand why I put it in that way. But I'm really glad that you've joined us today to have this conversation because it's really important for us to figure out where it is that we can fit in to all of the various campaigns that are afoot right now to make a significant difference in what we have to do. So Ruth gave a lot of my personal details. I do want to say also that I'm a mother and a grandmother. I have personal investments in how it is that our planet endures for the next multiple generations, and it matters to me in the short and the long term that we all have a fair, sustainable, and just planet. I do want to talk about what Third Act is about. This saying here, experienced people working for a fair and stable planet. When I was a returning student at the university, I used to call myself chronologically advantaged. But then we heard Representative Jingles say seasoned. Both of those terms are fine, I think, and maybe a little bit better than seniors. Although the other term that I think has a lot of dignity and weight is elder. Because as elders, we have a social responsibility. And that was part of what prompted Bill McKibben and Vanessa Arcara, who were affiliated for several years, still are, with 350.org, to talk a couple years back about what it is that might involve the older generation. Those who came up during a season of great social upheaval, but who may or may not have continued down that path in the same decades to follow. So there's a lot of interest by elders in participating in efforts for social justice, for environmental justice, and to save the planet quite specifically. And that's what Third Act is about. We have these working groups in formation here in Michigan. We have over 30, close to 40 different state groups already, and some affinity groups too. And I'm going to say this a number of times. If you want more information, please reach out to michigan@thirdact.org and we will follow up promptly. I want to introduce also Pam. And Pam, this is ridiculous. This is speaker brain operating.
Pam Henry.
Thank you. Pam Henry, who is part of the coordinating committee as well, a volunteer coordinator for Third Act Michigan, and she may well be one of the people you would hear from. So thank you all for being here. We can accomplish a lot together. And it's a little bit of a misnomer in some ways for me to be here under the sustainable banking auspices, because really there's part of what I will talk about that has to do with moving our money and doing that kind of individual focus. But really what we do at Third Act is to encourage collective activity, because that's where we can really bring a lot of our influence to bear. We are citizens, we're community members, we're environmental custodians, we're consumers, and we have tremendous political and economic power to bring to bear. That's what really matters. And together, we can bring about the political and economic transformations that we need, because this is the moment to take action. We're going to cover, more or less in this order, these questions on the screen here. Our time is now. See? The most important thing each of us can know is our unique gift and how to use it in the world. Individuality is cherished and nurtured because in order for the whole to flourish, each of us has to be strong in who we are and carry our gifts with conviction so they can be shared with others. That's from Robin Wall Kimmerer, who many of you may already know of through her work in environmental sustainability, and is the author of Braiding Sweetgrass, among other things. An indigenous expert in ecosystems who specializes in the study of mosses. So to build on what Dr. Kimmerer has said, we don't have any time to waste. We saw what happened in 2023. That catastrophe, global catastrophe already. We suffered thousands of miles away from the boreal fires. We had floods here because the climate has changed so much that we had these torrential downpours, as Representative Dingle was saying, that we have now these once every 100 floods every year. We don't have any time to waste. But we do have the gift of being able to come together with each other. We have this immense capacity, and now is the time to activate it. I do want to talk a few minutes, just briefly, to bring out some of the important underpinnings of what it is that motivates us to take action collectively in this way. I know I don't give a whole lot of thought to what happens to the money that I put in the credit union. But credit union, just like any other financial institution, is not letting it sit fallow. It is investing it. The big banks, especially the four big banks, Chase, Citibank, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo, are actually trillions with a TR to the fossil fuel industry. So those of us who think, oh yeah, we're doing a great job of not investing directly in the industry, bad actors themselves, the banks are still funding them. And without the funding that the banks give, asset managers give, insurance corporations give, then the whole system of fossil fuel infrastructure build-out would come to a halt. And that's where we come in. Baby boomers and the generation above us, not all of us are in this wealthy group to have lots and lots of assets. But together, it is a large portion of what we have invested. And the clout that we have to bring to bear is significant. So we can make our money greener. We can move our money. We can emphasize that these major financial institutions do better themselves. And doing it through Third Act is what we do. Think globally, act locally is a fairly common slogan, I think, to most folks. The working groups within Third Act provide a framework for being able to address these local issues for us. Now, nationally, we talk about these 3 campaign areas: powering up communities, upholding voting and democracy, advancing fossil-free finance, with the idea that these are intersecting, overlapping concerns. Because if we power up communities, that is, if we bring accountability and attention to bear on the public service commissions, which are responsible for approving or denying rate hikes by the utility companies, making sure that they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. If we engage in efforts to uphold voting and democracy and make sure that we are all organized to be able to make sure that our voices are heard and respected and heeded, then we can move forward on our efforts to advance fossil-free finance. So there is this intersectionality and overlap, a mutual reinforcement of these areas. And we are, within Third Act, really intent not on supplanting the other groups that have been active, but in supplementing their activities, acting as a force multiplier. So we've had in attendance here these great organizations. I mean, the on-the-ground work that this coalition has done to produce these teach-ins, that's evidence of what people are already doing. So Third Act isn't looking to be the new kid on the block, so to speak, and say, yeah, y'all can step aside now because we're here. But to say instead, we're here to back you up. We're here to make sure that these campaigns for environmental justice, for accountability, for true sustainability, that they have the oomph that they need because we can work together. You know, we live in a racist society. And that has been manifested through the environmental redlining that the speakers earlier today made a point of bringing forward. That's not sustainable, it's not just, and it can't be allowed to continue in this way. There's no planet B. No one is exempt from these issues, even though there are some communities that are hit harder and first. But together, when we follow the leadership and inspiration of the communities already active on the ground to take initiative, then we can strengthen each other's efforts, and that's what we're about. So one of the things that has been really important to us is to make sure that what we do is important as how we do it. So Pam can attest to how we've been structuring our meetings on Zoom, and this has happened with other working groups too, that we follow these principles. We address one of them every time. We bring in some sort of external material that will remind us what it is that we're here to do. And I will say that even though we've only been meeting since October, and you know, what is that, fewer than a dozen meetings, it's been just deeply heartening and inspiring to be able to get to know Pam, to get to know the other folks in the group, and to realize that we are all in this together. And that when we rely on these working principles, that it helps us remember things like being generous but not to a fault, and being accountable and taking care, so that we know that we're building a community and that we're building it for the long haul. So yes, this is an absolute pitch for anybody who feels like they want to join in the group. Get onto our list, join the meetings, we'd be delighted to have you. So, specifically regarding fossil fuel finance projects, there are a number of strategies that Third Act working groups and the national organization have been promoting. This responsible finance idea, moving your money to a more responsible and accountable financial institution is important. The banking on our future efforts so that people actually write to your banking institutions and say this is not acceptable, you need to clean up your act. Talking to Costco, which I'll stress a little bit farther on. Ensure Our Futures was part of a coalition effort just a couple of weeks ago to lobby some of the mega players in the global insurance industry to stop funding these projects that are so damaging. Here in Michigan, we can certainly take the opportunity to look at the state legislation to make sure that that is continuing to lean in the direction of a greener energy system. We can talk about pension divestment and make that a requirement. That has just happened within New York State. It's a big move. And we can also talk with the University of Michigan and with the UM Alumni Association and get them to lean on their credit cards because UM banks with Chase. The Alumni Association has a bank with, I forget one of the other four, Bank of America. So we have influence to bring to bear there too. So on 3/21/23, not quite a year ago, there was a National Day of Action. It was the first day of action that was called nationwide, organized by elders, by seasoned folks like us. And some of you may remember being part of this group. I see at least one person in the room here today who was in one of these pictures and active in one of these photos, so that's pretty cool. And we were part of over 100 different demonstrations across the country. Part of it is because it's street theater, and we get to know each other, we get to be recognized. It's not the first protest in front of a Chase Bank in downtown Ann Arbor. Let me make sure I acknowledge that too. There are some folks here who have been part of the earlier ones that were organized, and I want to make sure that this isn't, claiming too much credit for what we did there. We were building, again, on the efforts that other people have done. But, if you have an interest in being out there and making the situation known so that it's alive, people don't ignore it, then this is the place to go. Join us. We're going to do more and more of this all the time. Recently, we were at Costco. Some of the Temple Beth Emmet folks were part of the delegation delivering local petitions to our manager at the Pittsfield Township Costco. There was another small delegation in Grand Rapids, but the national effort was part of a coalition activity to collect signatures. It was sponsored by Stop the Money Pipeline, and Hip Hop Caucus, and Sunrise, and Stand Up Earth. There are all these efforts to lean on Costco, which, by the way, is the third largest retailer in the U.S. Everybody's shocked by that. I'm shocked by that. They bank with Citi. So to say, Costco, clean up your act, lean on Citi to clean up their act, we've been trying to do that for a while. So this petition delivery was pretty fun, actually. It was very theatrical. They had somebody dressed up as a hot dog, and it was very dramatic, and you can see the images in the report on the third act site. But finally, in connection with this, the new incoming CEO finally responded, we are going to continue moving forward with the Climate Action Plan and have been in discussions with Citi about their carbon reduction plans in the future. So that's movement. We can continue to build on it and take it further. So there's our little group there in front of this Costco. That was fun. They made it really easy to figure out how to do this comfortably and smoothly, and it was a real pleasure to interact with folks who are doing this. So, the bottom line is, perfect. The bottom line is, Do we know what's making a difference? Maybe. Some things have immediate effect. Some things are going to take longer. But we do know that every 1/10 of a degree that we can secure is going to matter to everything. So, to bend the curve, it's important long term. Short term, to reduce fossil fuel emissions through all of these strategies has immediate positive health effects. They can't be understated. We heard those statistics earlier today too. And we build community resilience, we connect with each other, we develop a sense of efficacy, and that we are going to use the power that we have for each other, for the sake of all of us, for the sake of the planet. So, join us. Michigan at thirdact.org. Downstairs, we have a QR code that you can open up to sign up for information from us. There are a couple of handouts there. Bill McKibben's Substack is really good. It's free to everybody. He's got lots and lots of information all the time. We meet regularly on Zoom, and the next Michigan meeting is going to be Monday the 18th at 5 p.m. So, thank you all.
I'll try to talk fast.
Yeah.
Whoops. How do I get rid of that other one there? Well, you know what? I'm just going to have to go with it. Sorry, guys. All right, we're going to have, but I need this one larger. Can you all see that slide on the left?
Yeah.
Is it big enough? All right, then let's just do this. Okay, 15 minutes to talk about sustainable investing is not a lot of time. This is going to be a whirlwind tour. However, if you would like a more meditative approach, sort of a self-guided towards to sustainable investing, just come up to me either after the session or during the networking time. Get one of my cards. It will have my contact information. Email me. I will send you your own deck of slides, which will be a lot more, you'll see a lot more detail on them than you'll see today. Okay, so don't worry. If you want just a quick tour, you've got it, but if you want something more, we can do that too. Okay, climate change costs money. Here's just one example. Are you sure you can see that?
Yeah. On our, the small one?
No, the big one. You can see it, okay. 2023, 28 weather and climate related disasters, each costing over $1 billion. It is not surprising that people are interested in sustainable investing because it protects ourselves, it protects our environment and our earth, and it protects our portfolios. Okay, what is going on? Okay, here we go. How do we refer to climate-related investing? Usually it's either sustainable investing or ESG investing. They can be used interchangeably, but both can also have a much broader meaning. Okay, let's take a look at ESG. I think you all know that it stands for environmental, social. The social would be things like your faith-based investing, your human rights, labor standards, governance, meaning corporate governance, sets of standards for running a company. Under the E for environmental, of course, comes your climate change and carbon emissions, but a lot more than that. Biodiversity, deforestation, water scarcity. Now, I want to debunk two common misconceptions about sustainable investing right now. One, sustainable ESG investing is all about sustainability first and investment return second. Not true. Sustainable investing is primarily first about a competitive risk-adjusted return that is achieved by and also having a sustainable goal. They are not incompatible. The second myth is related, and that is that because there is a sustainable goal, it must underperform. Here's the data. For a 5-year period ending April 2023, annualized basis, 2/3 of the sustainable funds available to U.S. investors outperformed their Morningstar category peers. That's not exactly what I would call underperformance. Now, like any other kind of investment, a sustainable investment or fund will have periods of outperformance and underperformance, but you should expect a competitive long-term return. Now, is there any interest in sustainable investing? Absolutely. Morgan Stanley did a global survey recently. Here are the results for the United States. 84%, somewhat are very interested. Millennials, 96% interested. The seasoned, well, 78 and older, 60, that's not bad. And look at the very liberal, 94, but conservative at 77% interested, that's not bad either. The top sustainable theme was climate action, but as you can see, followed very closely by healthcare and water solutions. Over 50% of the investors surveyed said that absolutely they boost their sustainable investing in 2024, but there's one little cloud on the horizon. Globally, the flows into sustainable investments in 2023 remain positive. In the United States, for the first time in 10 years, they were negative. Now, we'll have to do a lot of research to figure out how that happened, but here are some concerns that people have about sustainable investments. One, that there's a lack of transparency in reporting about sustainable investments, and that leads to a lack of trust. A second is the potential for greenwashing. Limited knowledge. Well, I'd like to invest sustainably. I don't have a clue as to how to do it. And the political climate. Let's take a look at the political climate. We could spend an hour on that, which we don't have. 20 states have rules against ESG investing. 8 states have pro-ESG rules. 41 states have either in effect or pending regulations. And there are 75 either anti or pro-ESG bills in current legislative sessions. So it's become a very politicized topic. Now the second big concern was greenwashing. What is greenwashing? Well, it means that omission of key information about that sustainable investment, or unsubstantiated claims or exaggerations. And here's an important one, especially for retail investors, inconsistency between the marketing materials and other fund materials. What contributes to greenwashing? I really think there are two big things. One is there simply is a lack of what is absolutely essential required reporting for sustainable investments. And the second is there's a lack of standardized terminology for investing approaches when it comes to sustainable investments. So you can have 2 investment managers, same exact investment approach, but they're describing it very differently. And so what happens is that just simply the investors are getting confused. It is also very true that the United States is well behind Europe when it comes to required disclosures for sustainable or ESG investments. Now, I want to spend a minute of our precious time because this is a really important rule. It was issued in draft form in 2022. The SEC released the final rule just last Wednesday, March 6th. It is extremely watered down from what was first presented. However, at least it's one step in the right direction. Thousands of smaller companies are now exempt, but large companies will have to report their Scope 1, direct, Scope 2, indirect, greenhouse gas emissions if they consider them material. And that's a little bit of a loophole. However, they also have to report climate-related risks to their operations, along with the impact of those risks and their plans to either mitigate or adapt to the risks. Scope 3 reporting, gone. As I said, it's a step toward the right reporting, and this is why I'm sort of hopeful. In Europe, it has been shown that as soon as you require companies to report their emissions, surprisingly, their path toward lower emissions seems to speed up a little bit. Now, if you're interested in climate action investing, there are different kinds of funds you can invest in, different ways of categorizing. I've pulled out just a couple of different kinds. There are low carbon intensity funds, what the name says. Climate conscious funds, this simply means that the company takes climate change into account in its business strategy, so it's likely to have an easier time as we move toward a greener economy. There are climate solution funds. These are more likely to benefit from the products and services that contribute to low carbon transition. And then you have the clean energy or tech funds, and these specifically contribute to or facilitate the transition to cleaner energy. And of course, on the fixed income side, I'd like to say a lot more about this, but you have the green bond funds, and they finance projects, again, that facilitate that transition. Now, you have different kinds of climate action funds, but you will also have different approaches to sustainable ESG investing. One is ESG integration. And this simply means that when they consider the risks and returns of the investments in a particular fund, they consider ESG factors that can affect the risk or return of an investment. So there's no goal, there's no sustainable goal, but they do consider at least some sustainable risks. Screening, probably one that's very well known. This is techniques for either including or excluding companies from a fund. You might exclude fossil fuel companies, and you might include best in class the companies that have the lowest carbon intensity for their particular industry. Then you have thematic investing, and that's top down, and some climate related themes might be climate change mitigation, green buildings, clean energy, those would be some of it. Stewardship, I don't really have that much in terms of investor rights and influence, but the large fund investors, investment managers really do. And this is where they use their rights and influence to prod corporations to do the right thing. Impact investing. This is really a very interesting one. There is an absolute measurable goal, or I shouldn't say goal, it's an objective that they expect to achieve. And it might be something like certain amount of hectares in South America of sustainably managed land, or it could be the addition of renewable electricity capacity to the economy. Now, if you're interested in sustainable investing, where do you start? Well, first of all, are you interested just in climate action in general, or is there a particular area that you're interested in? So that's the first place to start. Then the next question is, well, what funds, I'm making the assumption that we're not doing private equity investing here, but so let's just say what funds are available in that category. How do you find out? Well, if you're working with a financial manager, that's great. Let them do all the work. If otherwise, there are very good both for free and paid investment sites that you can use. Fund companies, internet searches. I will tell you, and I'll speak very fast, just for the heck of it, I asked Chat AI to help me find some low carbon intensity funds to invest in. And I was not only pleased. I was shocked by the amount of actually useful information that I got. It gave me specific funds with specific fund characteristics. It gave me white papers, links to white papers. It gave me ratings of a whole slew of low carbon intensity funds. So it certainly wasn't, wouldn't have been the end of my search, but it was great, gave me good resources as among, a useful first step. Research the fund. How does it achieve its climate-related goals? And remember what Warren Buffett said, never invest in anything if you don't understand it. So make sure the funds you're interested in give you complete and clear information about what they do and how they do it. Here's just some information to look for. I think most of you would know. Description of the investment approaches. How do they use climate information in their investment process? Where do they get their climate information? That's important because remember, a lot of it is simply estimated. What's their benchmark? And how do they report progress toward their goals to clients? If it's a screening approach, what's your criteria for including or excluding investments? What's the threshold? If there are targets for portfolio characteristics, what's the target value or range? How do they measure it? And again, how do they expect to attain it? How are they going to do what they say they want to do? Impact investing, very specific objective. You need very specific information. You want to know the impact objective. You want to know who's going to benefit. You want to know the time horizon. Well, how long is it going to take? 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? You want to know how the impact objective will be obtained and how progress over the course of those years, over that time frame, how that will be reported to clients. Now, I'll just end by saying that these are two excellent resources. They were written for investment managers, not necessarily directly investors, but I find especially the handbook really, really useful when it comes to just providing a sort of a broad look at investment approaches, what they're doing in Europe, glossary of terms. It gives you a much better sense of the whole world or realm of sustainable or ESG investing. And if you just Google that name, the site will come up. It's CFA Institute, and it's available for free. Okay, now one other thing that I wanted to say before I wrap up. There are other slides that I'm not going over today, but one of them is from the handbook. There's a whole series of slides that represent a sample disclosure from a fund that has a low carbon intensity target, as well as an exposure to green bonds. And so that just kind of shows you what a really good disclosure statement would look like. And finally, I want to end with two famous quotes from two famous architects. Less is more, Ludwig van der Rohe, and less is only more when the more is no good, and that's Freddie Boy. I will say, as I live my life, I'm often tended to move towards that less is more, but when it comes to disclosures for investors in sustainable investing, I would say that as long as they're truthful and informative, more disclosures are always better than less. Thank you.